Are Erik Ten Hag's days as Manchester United manager numbered? Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. Yes, today's video we're centering around the current Manchester United manager Erik Ten Hag, and we're asking the question of whether Erik Ten Hag's time at Old Trafford at Manchester United is almost at its end. Crucial games are coming up between now and the next international break, and following on from what has been a poor start to the season by Erik Ten Hag and Manchester United, and what was a season that promised and hoped so much in the pre-season. In the summer, of course, there was a lot of money being spent. It provided a lot of hope, a lot of optimism, a lot of excitement for many Man United fans, especially following on from last season, in which they were Carabao Cup winners, they were FA Cup finalists, and of course, Ten Hag led them to a third place finish in the Premier League table. It hasn't exactly gone to plan, and it's been very hit and miss, very inconsistent, and overall a poor start to the season by Manchester United that has culminated this week with 3-0 losses back-to-back to their local rivals Manchester City in the Premier League and to Newcastle in the Carabao Cup. A repeat of last year's Carabao Cup final, but with a different outcome, with the Magpies overcoming the Red Devils. It's all left now with Erik Ten Hag's future seemingly resting in the balance. Big games, like I say, coming up in the Premier League and Champions League over the next couple of weeks or so are leaving Erik Ten Hag's season future as Manchester United manager in the balance. His days are seemingly numbered, and we're going to be talking about this, about Manchester United and everything else in between in this video. But before we go any further, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things are always and be greatly appreciated. Also, get involved in the comment section. I'm sure you have a lot of interesting thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, in regards to Manchester United. That will make for great and interesting reading, I'm sure. So do get involved down there. But without further ado, let's get on with the video. Let's talk Manchester United. Let's talk Erik Ten Hag. The main bulk of this video basically stems from an Athletic article which basically summed up the entire Manchester United Erik Ten Hag situation as we currently know it, or as they currently know it. It basically states that what they are hearing about Erik Ten Hag in regards to his uncertain future. It basically says that despite everything seemingly snowballing, and obviously lots of reports coming out that maybe his future does hang in the balance, his job is safe for now. We'll talk about more about that a little later. It says that despite that, though, there is growing unrest in the squad. There's the Maguire and Sancho situations, which have caused a bit of an uproar. Certain comments made by Erik Ten Hag haven't exactly gone down too well with the squad, mainly pointing out the play more football comment against Brentford that Erik Ten Hag made in regards to Casemiro being substituted. The ownership uncertainty is both complicated and has caused a distraction. And of course, there is seemingly no succession plan. Those are just some of the points that we're going to be talking about in this video. And let me say, first and foremost, as a rival fan from the outside looking in, on behalf of all rival fans, we're loving every second of it. We're loving every second of this circus that is back. The Manchester United circus is back, everybody. We're loving every single second of it. We are loving the complete chaos and disarray that is happening at Manchester United right now, particularly after hearing so much from Man United fans last season when things were going well. It seems that they well and truly have been put to sleep a little bit with obviously what is happening this season. It's been a very hit and miss start to the season by Manchester United, in which, like I said at the top of the video, had a lot of hope and a lot of optimism and excitement going into it. There was, of course, the success of last season, the overachievement of last season. Add to that the big money spent in the summer. The likes of Rasmus Højlund, Andre Onana, Mason Mount coming in for big money. Man United fans were excited. May not be about all the signings, but about some of the signings that have come in this summer. They were very excited about what they were seeing from Ten Hag and Man United. They were also had the extra fuel to the fire of the Glazers possibly selling up. The future couldn't have looked any brighter for Manchester United at that point. And then it all comes crashing down. The Glazers don't sell up completely. They are still at the club. Jim Ratcliffe is set to come in with a 25% stake Not that that, in my opinion, is going to change a great deal. But that is obviously the story that obviously occurred there. United's start to the season was poor. The new signings haven't exactly hit the ground running. There's been no improvement from last season. The games that United have won haven't been convincing. It's been a complete shambles from start to finish of this campaign, and it doesn't exactly seem like it's going to brighten up anytime soon. What I will say, and like I say again, I'll try and be as open and as honest and as neutral as possible when it comes to talking about rival teams and rival clubs, despite the fact I am obviously from the outside looking in as a rival. I'm loving the chaos and disarray, but I'll always try and be open and honest. What I will say is that whether you're Erik Ten Hag in or Erik Ten Hag out, it doesn't matter. It genuinely doesn't matter in my opinion, because the same situation is going to play out time and time and time and time again. If Ten Hag stays, you'll be hit and miss. You'll be inconsistent throughout the whole season. It is what it is. If a new manager comes in, it's a gamble. You could either have an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer thing of a bit of redemption, but no long-term success. Or you could have a Ralf Rangnick thing in which your season goes from bad to worse. Because there is no success to come from this. Okay, there may be small success. There may be a tiny bit of success. But when you look at because when you look at it, and you look at post Sir Alex Ferguson, United have tried and tested manager after manager after manager after manager. And they've all been different. Whether it be through different personalities, different styles of play, they've all been different. There has been no long-term success achieved by any of those managers at all. What is the common factor? What's the common thread? The ownership. The ownership has been the common thread, the common factor. Erik Ten Hag isn't the biggest problem at Manchester United. He is a symptom of a problem. He is not the problem. Because let's face it, he's not exactly covered himself in much glory. He is not blameless in this situation. But at the same time, in saying that, he is not the major issue. And you can ask for whatever manager you like, United fans. You can ask for whatever manager you like. You can ask for as basic as Sam Allardyce. You can ask for as intricate, as detailed, as hardworking, as strict as a Pep Guardiola or a Jurgen Klopp. It doesn't make a difference, because whilst that ownership is there, there will be no major or long-term success at Old Trafford whatsoever. You may get the odd Carabao Cup. You may get the odd FA Cup. You may get the odd Europa League. That's what happened with Louis van Gaal. That's what happened with Jose Mourinho. That's what happened with Erik Ten Hag. But there's going to be no success in terms of league titles or Champions League titles to come, because your ownership is cutting you down. And any manager who walks in is going to have one arm tied behind their back right from the off. And that's why I have very little sympathy for Erik Ten Hag in this situation. Because when he walked into the job, he had to face so many issues. So many issues. And at first I did feel sorry for him. Having to deal with like the Mason Greenwood situation. Having to deal with the ownership. Having to deal with many off-the-pitch issues. Having to deal with a squad that wasn't performing to expectation. Having to perform to a squad that had been there through many different managers and have constantly won the battle of player versus manager. Player power once again rising to the top at that club, as it seems to be happening again here in certain cases. I at the start had sympathy for Erik Ten Hag, but if I can see it from the outside looking in, and all of you can see it from the outside looking in, how come he didn't? And I think that there is a certain ego to all managers that seems to suggest that I can be that guy. I can be him. I can be the guy to take this club back to the glory days, back to where it wants to be at the top. I don't care about the issues that I'm walking into. I can be the guy to solve them. I have little sympathy for someone who looked from the outside looking in at all of these issues and said, I can be that guy. I respect the ambition. I respect the courage. I respect the confidence. But there's a fine line between confidence and stupidity, right? The fact that he looked at that and thought he could be that guy and tackle everything, and for a while, it looked like he was doing great, because there was a time last season where everything he touched turned to gold. He was saying all the right things. He was doing all the right actions. His tactical analysis of games was helping him to win those games. It may not have been convincing, but he was growing a winning mentality that when this team wasn't playing well, he was still picking up results. That's why United's home form last season was so good, because although they weren't convincing in all stages of their play and in every game they were playing, they still ended up with only one defeat at home all season, and that was right at the beginning of the campaign. So there was something to him, and I still think there is sort of something to him. I just think United may be a bit too far and a bit too big of a job for him to handle when you consider that there are multiple other things going off around him outside. But like I say, I have very little sympathy for this guy, because if we can see it from the outside looking in, surely he should have been able to see it as well. My issues from the outside looking in again with the Athletics article, the manager being safe for now bit. We've heard that time and time again at multiple different clubs. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if right now Erik Ten Hag is going to be the first managerial casualty of the season. I'm not going to count Lopetegui, because Lopetegui happened before a ball was even kicked of the new season. So Ten Hag may actually be the first managerial casualty of the new season. They say he's safe for now. Is that United's board backing him? Or is that United's board not willing to give him the compensation that he will receive should they sack him? I think it is that, to be honest. We've heard it time and time again. We heard it under Jose Mourinho. We heard it under a couple of other managers as well, that the compensation fee would be huge. Here we are again, United fans. The unrest in the growing squad because of the certain situations. The Sancho one. That one in particular baffles me, because I remember reading certain things a few weeks ago saying that certain players were behind the manager in his decision to obviously exclude Jadon Sancho from the first team. Why the sudden change of heart? Strange that, isn't it? Read between the lines. Read between the lines. Certain comments being made. Is Ten Hag being careless? Or is he being too honest? That's for you to decide. Play more football against Brentford going down as a bad comment. The comments he made against after the game against Manchester City, where he basically said that he won't be playing his style of play that he used to play at Ajax because he can't. You've had 2 years to try and implement your style of play on this squad. You brought in a number of new players that are strictly there in your eyes, your opinion, your thinking to play your brand of football. How can you not play your brand of football? What is the point of you being there if you're not playing your brand of football? What is the point of you being a manager at a club if you can't play your brand of football? There's no point you being there then, is there? There's no point you being there if you can't play your brand of football. You wouldn't ask Pep Guardiola to play Sam Allardyce football in the same way that you wouldn't ask Sam Allardyce to try and play Pep Guardiola football. Why are you there if you can't implement your style of play on this squad? And you've had 2 years in which you spent a lot of money. You spent over 400 million, maybe even close to 500, on a new squad in which it featured a new goalkeeper, a couple of new centre-backs, and a new midfield, new striker, new winger. It baffles my mind that this guy's coming out with certain things like this. It's weird. It is weird. And I'm not even a United fan and I find it weird. The ownership uncertainty. Again, if you weren't prepared to do your due diligence and look at it from the outside looking in at what this club has been doing to certain managers over recent years, how every manager has ended up saying the same thing about the club, about the board, about the people in power, about the whole spine of that football club, I have no sympathy for you. Yes, it did seem like the ownership was going to change this season. But then they performed a U-turn and it didn't. You couldn't... Why did you risk the gamble of that if you were that bothered about it? Why did you risk the gamble of going into business with the Glazers if you didn't like them that much? Like I say, I have very, very little sympathy for Erik Ten Hag. And like I say, if there is anybody out there who thinks the likes of Zinedine Zidane, who is being strongly linked with a move to Manchester United, is going to change the fortunes of United, you're weirdly delusional. Don't get me wrong, he may be fine for the first several months. You may start picking up some good results. You may start playing some good football again. But in the end, the upwards trajectory can only go so far before it takes a massive nosedive. It happened with Van Gaal. It happened with Mourinho. It happened with Solskjaer. And it's happening again with Ten Hag. And like I say, from the outside looking in, I'm loving every second of this absolute train wreck at Manchester United right now. But if I'm being open, I'm being honest, Ten Hag isn't the major issue. He's a part of the problem, don't get me wrong, because like I said before, he's not exactly covering himself in much glory. Some of the tactical decisions he's making are completely baffling. Why would you take Amrabat off on Sunday against Manchester City? Why are you taking Casemiro off at certain points? Why are you throwing certain players under the bus? Why are you not doing this? Why not doing that? Why did you spend 60 odd million on Mason Mount? I remember saying at the time that was crazy. I understood why it could work, but it was a massive gamble that ultimately so far hasn't paid off. You didn't really want Mason Mount anyway because you've not really played him much in recent games despite being fit and ready to play. He just seems to be running out of ideas, and I honestly wouldn't put it past him if he completely sabotages his Manchester United reign as manager for however long that may be in order to get that compensation pay. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he completely sabotages his own thing. Where would he go after this? Well, he's at least got some credit in the bank of a Carabao Cup and something, so maybe there is somewhere out there for him. Maybe he could go back to Ajax because, let's face it, Ajax are in complete trouble right now. I'm just throwing it out there, like, I don't know what the future holds for either of these two, Manchester United or Ten Hag, but what I do know, Erik Ten Hag isn't the major issue, but if United want to kind of salvage their season and go on a bit of a future with the Glazers that will see them at least achieve some level of success, it's going to have to be put up with a Carabao Cup here and there, put up with maybe a Europa League here and there, an FA Cup here and there sporadically, and just constantly rotate the manager every 18 months or so, because that's the only way that United are going to achieve success, in my opinion. But as I always say, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of this Manchester United Erik Ten Hag situation? Do you think his time at United is almost up? I'd love to read your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it in the comment section down below, because I'm sure they'll all make for great reading. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way up if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new and want to see more content like this. Both things are always and probably greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video, and I'll see you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. enjoy this Manchester United circus for as long as it may last. I'm loving every second of it. Keep going, you guys. You're doing great. See you all again soon. Take care. Have a good rest of your day.